welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome all to Taboo Chronicles. We have a show for you tonight. I have two lovely ladies, as I promised. I have Miss Frasia and Miss Eugenia, and they are sassy publishers from the Sassy Publishers Company. So I'm going to let these ladies introduce themselves right quick, and just maybe they just have a little bit of something to say about themselves before we get started. Uh, I'll hand it over to Miss Frazier since she's on my other but far side. I'm in the middle of looking at y'all, but you're on the outside there. So I'm handed it to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Roberta. First of all, thank you for inviting us. My name is Afresia Gardner, and I reside here in Houston, Texas, originally from Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner. I have been a resident here for about 7 years. I used to be a classroom teacher. And now I am writing children's books with Eugenia.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Don't tell me Eugenia's from Oklahoma now. Wait a minute.
Around the way, I am. But I'm Eugenia Usher Jenkins. Currently, I reside in Lafayette, Louisiana. I am around the way from Oklahoma. My parents are military. But I've been here for about 15 years, lived pretty much everywhere, all over the U.S., all over the world. I own a 24-hour daycare center here in Lafayette. Currently working on my master's and having a great time with my cousin writing children's books.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Now, I'll tell you guys this. I'm from Oklahoma, too. I don't know if y'all know that or not, but I am an Oklahoman as well. So, and I'm from the middle of Oklahoma, a small town called Chickasha, Oklahoma.
That's my hometown.
That's your hometown, too?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You know my people then. You know my people. They told you all about me before you even came on. That ain't even fair.
No. I saw it on your profile.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm pretty sure if you call somebody, they're going to say, yeah, that's Roberta. And they're going to tell you all about me. They're going to tell you about my grandbaby, not my grandbaby, but my grandfather, my grandmama. Yeah, they'll tell you everything. Even if I had a puppy, they're gonna tell you what the puppy name was. Very small world.
Small world, yes.
Very small world. Well, this is neat. This is really neat. I'm excited now. Yes. I'm with my homegirls.
Yes.
Wait a minute. You don't get that. You don't get that lucky.
No.
This gotta be it. Hey, this got to be ordained.
Yes. I got that. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
It's got to be. Right. So now I want to ask you guys, what is your mood for tonight? You both certainly brought my mood up. I'll tell you that. What is your mood for tonight? We're going to go ahead and give Eugenia an opportunity to start off.
I'm excited tonight. This is something new that I have never done, so it's exciting.
All right. Okay. All right. And how about you, Mr. Frazier?
Oh, definitely excited. And like I said, all glory to God for this opportunity. And so, yes, I've never done this before. I'm used to talking, in a classroom to children. So this is definitely different, new. But I'm excited also because this is a good way to just expand my horizons. And so, yes, definitely excited.
All right. Okay. Well, and I'm excited too. I mean, I'm in awe. I'm trying to think about your last name. Is that your married name?
That's my married name.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to get your maiden name so I can really pin your folks down.
Yes. Well, you probably know my grandmother. So
who is that?
Loretta Jackson.
I sure do know Miss Jackson. Oh yeah. Okay. Yes, ma'am. I do.
Yes, that's my grandmother.
She's a historian.
Yes,
She
ma'am.
is. She's picked up as the historian of the town. Actually,
yes.
She brought the little school my grandfather went to school into the city,
wow.
and she also into the I say the town. I'm saying city, but into the town. And she was doing little Black history.
Yes.
Historical moments at the college for a little bit.
Yes.
So yeah, I do know Miss Loretta. I do. And let me tell you a little bit of something about that. I have sons, and her and her husband Harold. Hey, her and her husband Harold used to buy season tickets to OU.
Oh.
And he used to take my sons to those games on the weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, so he wouldn't have to go by himself.
Right.
He'd take my son. That's the truth. He'd take my son Cedric and Herb to the football games.
Wow.
Yes, he would.
Wow.
So that's true.
Wow.
That's neat, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, that's neat. That's very neat.
Wow.
Well, I was going to ask you, ladies, because we are going to talk about some influences of media. And when I seen, I don't know which one I contacted through your webpage, but when I see media, I always think about it's just a way of getting information out. And it's a way of educating. So it's ironic. Not ironic. I should have assumed that you guys were teachers, but what I see it as a form, right? And it's been used a lot against us. I'll say it that way too. But that's why I wanted to talk about the influences of the media, because people don't realize that we have media all around us. But right now, I just wanted to ask one question. Did you guys watch the football game last night?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You did.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, even if you didn't watch the football, did you watch the halftime show?
Yes.
Yes.
You did. Okay. So that's enough. That's enough. I think that's enough to get you in the game. So, what the question was, what did you think about it? Because I'm hearing some things. I'm hearing several different things, right? I'm hearing some people say they didn't like it. Some people saying they loved it. It was over the top. And some people even thinking or seeing things that other people did not see, which is the power of the media, the power of even words, right? So I want to know, what do you ladies think?
Gina, I'll let you go first.
I actually really enjoyed it. I've followed Kendrick Lamar for a little while. I love the lyricism that he has, the message that he has in a lot of his songs. So last night's performance, it shed a light on how we are represented in the media and overcoming a lot of those challenges and those stereotypes of what we're expected to do. It kind of reminded me of, who was it? The one entertainer, and I'm so bad with the names. The whole idea that that's what we are. We're just supposed to entertain. That's it. Just entertain, not have a message, be quiet, don't get too loud, don't get reckless, stay in your corner. Right. And so for him to bring that to, one of the biggest platforms in the world, I think was needed. Whether, people say, oh, it shouldn't have been done there, that wasn't the time. Well, then what should have been? He had a message. He chose that time to deliver it. I think it was great. There was a lot of gems. Yeah. A lot of gems that were dropped. And you kind of have to know your history to have caught those gems.
Yeah.
You know, having Samuel L. Jackson, having Samuel L. Jackson play the part of Uncle Sam narrating the biggest game in America. It's not just about the Super Bowl, you know, but having him and knowing his history at Morehouse. Right. So and how that came about, being kicked out of Morehouse, all of this stuff. And now he's, you know, he's Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam has always been portrayed by, you know, the white people. It's always been portrayed that way. So to have him in that character, to have the American flag spread out, you know, built by an all Black male dance portion with the divide down the middle. Take it how you want it. Is it a cultural divide, a political divide? Whichever way you want to see it, it was a divide. There's just so many. There's just so many to talk about, you know.
Right. And I mean, I did go back and watch it, and I did notice that they had their heads down and their backs up. And so instantly what I went to was what they always say, you know, America was built off our backs. I instantly thought about that because of how they were leaned over with their backs up, as if, hey, we're holding something up. You know, this is the strongest part of my body, and I'm holding it up. And then they got up. So I did see some of those messages as well. So I think that's neat that you said that if it was appropriate or not. And I think the other thing about it, you know, politically, you know, we just had a president say we could say people are faggots and retarded. So how can we say what's appropriate or not right now? I'm just saying. Yes. You know what I mean? If he say, hey, he said it's all fair game. So why would you want to draw back with, you know, the line with, you know, if that's some of the opposition, is it appropriate or not? Well, why would you want to draw it back now? You know, just a week ago, it was okay for us to say, if, you know, he said if they faggots, they acting, he said acting like. So I'm just saying that to say, well, it just seemed like to me, it's no appropriateness anywhere at this point.
And when is it ever appropriate? Was it appropriate for the marches to happen? Was it appropriate for protests to happen in the 60s? Was that appropriate? Some people are going to tell you no, but it had to happen. Change has to start somewhere. And what may not be appropriate for somebody else is the exact right time for somebody that's ready to make that move.
That's right. That's right. That's right. All right, Mr. Kelly. I'm gonna let you go ahead and come on up.
Come on, Freesia.
That's gonna be a hard to follow because I mean, Gina pretty much said it all. She said, and you know, we have these talks all the time about this very same thing. Honestly, I have listened to Kendrick Lamar. I do respect him as an artist because I do feel like he puts things out there. He pushes it. And it is things that need to be said. But that goes back to, why is it that we have to be quiet? We have to, you know, there's boundaries put on us. There's boundaries put on our free speech. There's boundaries. But like you said, Roberta, you know, the president is allowed to say, you know, X, Y, Z, but no, we can't speak on our Blackness. We can't speak on the truth about, yes, America was built on, you know, from slaves, by slaves, of slaves. We can't speak of any of those things. Those things are hush hush. Oh, no, you can't do that. You're out of line. And I felt, and I saw some of the kind of backlash on Facebook today, and and I thought to myself, you know, if you didn't like it, cut it off. I mean, you know, it's just because at the end of the day, I mean, that's what I do. If I don't like something, I cut it off. I mean, it's point blank, period. I don't have to go into this dissertation, about why I didn't like something. And then too, why is it that when we don't understand something, we don't try to seek an understanding? We just say things out of pure ignorance. And, and some of it, I have to admit, I didn't understand what was happening. But that's why I started reading, and I started, reading what people were saying, commentary, their perspective, to get an understanding of what he was trying to say. And that's, to me, that's the common sense thing. Get an understanding of what of what a person is trying to say.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I think it was a political stand. We're at a political place in history. That's why I was so attracted to, to your pages on Facebook, because, literature has always been used. Now we do have media, but literature was the primary, and that was used to mobilize, catalyze us, and move us where we need to be. And so, it's very powerful. But the downside is that sometimes we don't even realize how powerful it is. It said he didn't invite Drake's ex-ladies to be a part of the show. I think they took all the and I think,
Serena was walking like it was nobody's.
She loved to go back to South Central where she can and do it when it's appropriate, don't she? She's pretty good at it. We know when is it Serena Williams?
It was Serena, yes.
Okay, yeah. So we know
like that though. I was done.
Yeah, we know Mr. Williams was constantly telling them to get back over there. Don't let me catch you doing that, because she do it too well. So we know she's been doing it for years. Certainly, we know that. And I even seen someone on one of the comments be like, "Is she even from California?" I'm like, y'all don't even pay attention to how things evolve or where this girl is from California.
Yep.
So yeah, and she did, and she does firmly represent.
Yes, she does.
And what I like too is because SZA's also there, the other ex. But if you've seen some of SZA's videos, she was tame yesterday in her dress, which was really, I thought, was nice. That a halftime show that didn't have a bunch of half naked ladies. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but it would have taken away, I think, from his message. So I'd like that too. And hey, he was dissing everywhere.
All right. Now, someone said they want to know how Sassy Scholars has afforded the opportunity to shape the narrative with our voices.
Appreciate you going first this time?
Yeah, I'll go first. Yes.
Okay.
Well, sorry. Well, like I said, I was a classroom teacher for 14 years. And one of the things that you see in an educational setting, even here in Houston, this was in Oklahoma, and even here in Houston, is lack of representation, point blank, period. And so when Gina and I started coming up with the ideas for the books, really, truly, it was supposed to be just for family initially. And then we were like, no, we have a voice. We have something we can share. And I've always had this thing, if there's a problem, stop complaining, do something about it. And, and of course, this was around the time where you start to see more and more books from Black authors, with Black characters, they just started seeing it in, in Target, Walmart, things like that. And we just wanted to add our story, our voice, to that narrative. it's just imperative. And on top of that, give our children as well as other children opportunities that they're not really afforded. And for instance, we have this activity book that just was released back in September, where not only are they learning about African Americans that you don't hardly hear about, if you hear about at all, but I also, we came up with the idea of inserting skills so that our children are getting those skills. And so, why not merge the two? You're learning the history, you're getting the representation, and then you're getting the skills to go along with it. And so that's been what our purpose has been and will continue to be with Sassy Scholars Publishing.
So she's forgetting to say how
Go ahead,
so
Gina.
It started because the two books that we are currently have that we're waiting on to be released, which is the Marvelous Adventures of Maggie and Mott, were our first ideas, which came about as a need for our own family to be able to present our history to the younger generation in a book. So it started there with that vision. And from there, it branched to like, wait, we really do have something pretty good, pretty powerful here. And then everything else that Afreesha says, it came around. But it did start with just wanting to bring our family history to our own younger generations in our family in a book.
Okay. And I'm just going to ask, because sometimes people they don't understand the other side of that coin. Why is it important for us to be represented in media or in literature? Why is that important?
Whew.
Gina, you want
to so my background is in psychology. So where Afreesha's is in education, mine has been based in child and adolescent psychology. I'm actually working on my master's in applied psychology and start my doctorate this fall. So praise God for that. So representation for me is huge on a psychological level. We have to be able to feel like we're seen and heard. And if we don't see us, how do we know our voices even matter? Right? Is the first thing. It brings me back to my childhood, being in Germany and growing up in a village where I was the only Black person. And it does shape how you think of yourself, what you feel you can accomplish or can't accomplish, because you're the only one, right? So having that representation is paramount for our psyche, for our emotional well-being, to validate us as human beings, and to also connect us. How do I know that someone that looks just like me is feeling the same way that I do if I never see it? Or how do I know that someone that looks like me has the same dreams as me or has accomplished what I want to accomplish if I never see it, right? And so it's big to have that validation.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And and we just said where we're from. We're from a rural town. I'm from Oklahoma. And I can remember there being limited books. Huckleberry Finn was like what was in junior high. Like everybody had to read that. Charlotte's Web was what's in. It kind of would go all the way around, but there was no, I would say, no cultural books being fed to me. And I was in like advanced literature, but I can tell you, about Macbeth. I can tell you about, and by the way, now they're saying some of his books, Shakespeare's books, was written by what?
A Black man. Yes.
so, so, but I can tell you all of these other authors, but I couldn't tell you one that looked like me. But I do remember Langston Hughes' book, Black I Am, that was at my house, right? But it was never at my school.
Right.
And then, and even the, I thought it was interesting last night that the game started off with 2 anthems.
Yes.
That was a difference too. I know Kendrick really shot some arrows, but that was not a normal deal either, where they had the Black anthem and the American anthem sung at one place. So, and I'm just going to say that because, to be honest, I didn't know there was a Black anthem until I was 24. I was sitting with the Black Caucus in Memphis, Tennessee at Lemoore Owens. That's where I went to college at. And they were like, let's stand up for the Black anthem. And I was like, well, who goes sing it? How long y'all been singing this? I didn't know nothing about it because I had transferred. I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. I transferred from USAO in Chickasha.
Yeah.
To Lemoore Owens Traditional Black University in the middle of Memphis, on the side of Memphis, East Memphis. So I didn't know. I was like, what's going on for this? Yeah.
Wow.
I think as Eugenia said, or that if I don't see it, then I can't really grasp it. Right. And so if you can't grasp it, you're like, okay. Then I went on to, learn about Ida B. Wells, some of the other art writers, and that are in history. But if you don't ever catch it, it almost like it may not be for me.
Exactly.
I may need to take a route that I know that I've seen people take, rather than this is really a route that I could take too. This may be something I'm interested in. This may be something I'm good at, but I've never had that influence. So that is a good one. Why literature or media is good, that we're evenly, so that we have influences there. So I admire that. That is something that we needed.
We do. And
all right, ladies,
just to kind of piggyback on that, even if it's not in the media, I have to thank my family for bringing it to me at a young age. My mom having me read Octavia Butler at a young age, having me read Toni Morrison, Alex Haley, my dad being into jazz, being introduced to Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, Miles Davis, Duke Ellington at a very young age. So even though it may not have been in the media for me to see, like on TV or the radio, they brought it in my home. So no matter where I was, even if I was the only one, the token, as people will say, I didn't feel that way in my home. They made sure I knew my history. They made sure I knew these people that were doing great things because they taught it to me at home. And we also have to do that as well.
Right. Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say the same.
And I believe.
Yeah, I would definitely say the same.
What's going on now? We're going to be taking that torch. We're going to have to be more adamant at taking the torch within our homes, and that's for. out. Or and then honestly, when you even mention the the reaction of how people, like you said, it's always getting marginalized, or oh, you're trying to pick, or why would you say that if it's always been um who found America? If Christopher Columbus found America, why don't you just let him find it? And you're like, because he didn't, that it doesn't make any sense. And and to be honest, I've just gotten to a point anymore because of the literature and the information. I'm like, quit lying to us. Stop lying to us.
Right.
We're aware of who we are now.
Exactly.
Let's treat us accordingly, and we deserve that. We deserve that.
Oh yeah.
So, going to the media, not just written but also social media.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where do you guys stand as far as some of the obligations or some of the non-obligations that we have in social media? Or does it make sense? How we are portrayed in social media or with media, period. Uh, and that's media, television, which now more people do more media, right? But
Well,
how we are, yeah, how we're displayed.
I that is really interesting because I've seen it kind of go both ways. And what I mean by that is I've seen it where like for instance with Black History, this is Black History Month. You see Black history facts everywhere. I've seen more Black history than I actually used to see growing up when we were talking about, school.
Yeah.
And so that part of it, I feel is a positive. Um, I'm not, and I'm probably going to step on some toes saying this. I'm not quite sure about cancel culture, however, because I feel like depending on what you say, how you say it, when you say it, the minute that somebody determines that it's, that you're canceled. And I mean, it's instant. Whereas that wasn't something that, it just wasn't heard of course. I'm in my mid 40s. So, I caught, as far as social media, I was in college beyond when social media came on the scene. So my view is just a little bit different, whereas my children are growing up full blown, not just Facebook, but they're getting all these different ways that you can interact with people. And so my view is just a little bit different, but I think it could be a good thing. Like I said, I love the Black history. I love the the information that's being put out there, that's right there in our fingertips, that, like I said, was not, I mean, you'd have to go on the third, fifth floor of the library, back in the back corner somewhere to find, if it was even there, to find information that you have, right there at your fingertips. So I think it just depends.
Okay. Now, and the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because people don't really realize it. I think some parents use media as babysitters. And then even for us, sometimes we're not aware how media affects us. Like for me, I know here in this last 4 weeks, I've been over the top, like anxiety, and to the point where I'm like, okay, I got to pull back off of this stuff. This is it's way too much. It's way unhealthy for me to continue absorbing this stuff. Rather some true, some falses, especially being here in Texas, with the immigration, just going, being inundated. And like when I talk to him, I have a son, well, I have sons in Oklahoma Well, so their demographics is different from the demographics I have here. So they're not looking at it like this is almost like being on the front line of the immigration stuff that's going on.
Exactly.
And so it's so intimidating because we're right here, you know. So all of those things, and then you know, the media, the social media, watching it and just continually watching it, it's like, oh, I got to pull away from this. But being aware of that is causing some type of effect. But even prior to this, we had more suicides go up in children, young adults, Black women. The reason why was, I believe, is some of the media that we entertain. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah. So media can definitely either be positive or negative. Like Afreesha, I didn't grow up with, you know, Facebook. It didn't come around until we were in college. I mean, yeah, we had MySpace, Black Planet. Are we telling our age now?
Yeah.
Where you made an account and just forgot you even made it. It was so slow. Like, that ain't even ain't nothing going on with that.
Exactly. So I mean, it wasn't something that, you know, I gravitate, like even now I still struggle to post because it's not at the forefront of my mind.
Right.
But having kids, you know, my oldest is 25 and we have a 24 and a 20-year-old. So having them and seeing what they went through as teenagers, yes, it can play a big part. Keyboard warriors are real. And it's you don't even need the liquid courage that they would say back in the day. You know, you go to the bar, get you know, some liquid courage to say what you have to say. You can hide behind your computer screen and say a whole lot, and that it can be very damaging to the psyche. And I think kids are exposed to that at a greater level than before, and it can be devastating. Women, you know, you put yourself out there, they get on you for how you raise your kids, how you don't raise your kids, what you wore today, what you didn't wear today, who you went out with yesterday, you done changed your man again. I mean, everything becomes scrutinized when you're in social media, and it's there forever. And so there has to be protections that we have to start putting in place with our kids mentally and emotionally, because the social media is not going away. So how do we go about preventing this? And it's we've got to start really talking to our kids, putting them in a place, providing those resources. And unfortunately, the Black community is still behind when it comes to recognizing the importance of mental health. And so we really need to bring that back to the forefront of, hey, we've got to start protecting our babies. We have to, because it's not going away.
Yeah.
And it's getting more and more sophisticated, you know. That's the thing, you know. So
the private chats that the kids are hiding under our calculator icons. I mean, as a parent, you have to stay 20 steps ahead of your kids just to be 3 steps behind them still, right? So, you know, by the time you figured it out, they done already figured out a way around it. So it's tough. It's tough to navigate, but I don't know.
Yeah. So I think the whole thing is just to bring some type of awareness, because I feel like information is like paint. It can stick or it may not stick, but at least you can throw it out there. You know, that's kind of our goal with the show, to throw out information, and maybe it sticks, maybe it doesn't. But and especially with the mental health part, because that is one of the negatives of social media. The other thing is it is inundated with so much information. You know, there's really, at this point of time in our history, there's no reason why you shouldn't know anything. It really isn't. It's just like, if you don't want to know it, you just did not want to know it.
Right.
Because if you have a cell phone, you basically got the whole world, you know, kind of like Fraser was saying, I used to work, by the way, at the college library there, where it's on the 3rd floor, where they kept all the archives, right?
Right.
And you would watch everybody do research, and sometimes for fun, you pull out those fish discs and look up history yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you could only do that by year, because you
Right.
couldn't do it by name. Now you can do name, year. You
Mm-hmm.
can just Google list about everything under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know information now, it's because you don't want to know it.
That's true.
If that's the whole deal, because there's so much information out here. Now, then the information that's true and false,
right,
it's up to you to navigate that. You gotta be open to saying, that possibly not real,
mm-hmm.
Or that's possibly, and it may be just some of it. Like I said, because I've noticed with myself, especially here lately, some of it just is so overwhelming, like with your energy.
Mm-hmm.
It just absolutely takes your energy, where you're like, I don't even want to know nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
This is enough for me. And especially, like I said, what region I live in, it's been very stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, ladies, I want you guys to take our last. Let me see. Our last 15 minutes. We're gonna take our last 15 minutes, and we're going to. Um, I want you to tell our audience how to connect with you. Uh, Something that is your why, which you've already gave us one of your whys, right? But what is, not uniquely as a union, but what was your why on your journey, and your continued journey? And let me see. It said, I appreciate education a little more than the sport. With that said, I believe there should be a balance between our uses of social media and traditional media platforms. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I believe too, as well, Mr. Stafford. Y'all could tell I didn't put my glasses on. Let me see if I got them in my pocket. I don't even have them in my pocket. Uh, I believe too. I believe we should limit it. I still work with children, and I often have to tell the parents, no, they shouldn't get they should only get screen time. Screen time should be meaning 30 minutes,
mm-hmm.
20 minutes.
Right.
It doesn't mean 8 hours, right? Till we go back to bed, and when you wake back up, that's not what screen time is.
Right.
You may be giving them too much time.
Mm-hmm.
I always have to kind of tell them that no, because it's other things, like he was saying, he was a job. There's other things, in which children nowadays, they don't really go play. There's not a balance between play, social, having social outings, or being involved with other children socially, or even people for that sake, because they do everything online now.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that I do believe. I agree with you. It should be a balance.
Mm-hmm.
All right, ladies, I want you to give me your why. You're ever going. Why you are evolving? Because I believe you guys are evolving, and I'll let you guys decide who want to go first.
I'll go, if that's okay with you, Gina.
Please go right on ahead.
Well, Mr. Fresh, I guess we have to wait, because it's raining here, so I don't know if it's.
Oh, interrupting the yes.
Yeah. So what is your evolving why?
Okay. I would say because I had a role model, and you know who my grandmother is, and so my grandmother, as a kid, I remember her taking me to the governor's, mansion. I remember her she would take me to those meetings, and I have to sit there, be quiet. But she always took me into spaces where people were doing great things. And even if she was the only Black woman in there, or even the only woman in that space, it didn't matter. She still exposed me. And so I've always had that kind of implemented, just throughout my childhood of greatness. And even throughout my whole family, that has, even from my great grandmother all the way down, you get your education, you do this, you be somebody, the older people say, be somebody. And so that's just what I've grown up with. And so as I've gotten older, I knew I wanted to go into education. But it was always that I need to do something else. I need to fulfill a purpose. And it wasn't until I got down here to Houston, because Roberta, we both know Oklahoma is wonderful, but it's limited. And so when I got down here, I saw Black people doing all kinds of things. That's when I was really exposed to entrepreneurship. Yes, it was in my family. My grandmother is also an entrepreneur, and my auntie is also an entrepreneur.
That's right.
And so I saw that. I saw it on a grander scale, down here. And so it was like, okay, what else can I do with what I know? And I do know education. I do know, the skills, because I'm early childhood certified. So I know what skills that toddlers need to be working on, from toddlers to, 8 years old. I know these things. What can I do with it? And so, and like I said, our children need it. I've taught, like I said, 14 years, and every single year that I taught, our Black kids were always behind. And so that became my purpose, is to give our children just something, instead of, like I said, instead of complaining about it, doing something about it, and then giving them the representation to go behind it. So in addition to them learning, they're going to have the self-esteem to say, hey, that person looks like me, I can do this as well. And so yeah. And so that birth
yes.
Yep. I said, go big or go home.
Right. That's it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It says our children need these resources. That's true. We do. All right, Gina, how about you?
My why. Okay, so where do I even begin? Probably with my family. Kind of like appreciate my family is just amazing. Coming from a grandmother who works hard to get her master's degree, coming out of Riceboro, Georgia, small town. A grandfather who served in the wars, I think both the Vietnam and Korean wars, Purple Heart recipient, to a dad who was drafted to the Korean War, a mom who retired as an officer, a Black woman as an officer, going in the 70s, to two uncles who are West Point grads. I mean, they broke molds.
Excellent.
Right? They broke many molds. And growing up, hearing their stories, seeing them, my why is I don't have to be in the box that everyone wants to put me in. I can break these molds and define who I am. So yes, did it cause some problems as an adolescent and a young adult deciding to break this mold of hey, be an educator? I didn't want to be an educator. Psychology was my biggest thing, but then here I am owning a daycare center, right? Kind of funny how things come full circle. But being able to show my daughters, hey, whatever it is that you want to do, if you can dream it, you can do it. It may take a lot of hard work. There may be sleepless nights. There may be nights when you're crying by yourself. But if this is really what you want and you see yourself doing it, then do it. And we've got to start teaching our kids to break these molds and drop this.
Yeah. And I think that I agree with you. The other part of breaking the mold is not accepting what someone else say you are.
Exactly.
Exactly.
not accepting what someone else says you are, right? Because that's a lot of times what people do. They accept what social media says we are, or what, books have said we were, television shows have said we were, but even commercials, but not allowing that to navigate who we really are, because that's not who we are.
Right.
I think that's the main thing, is to know that's not who you are. And I'm listening to you guys, and even I had to be reminded, even with this, with the civil rights being taken down or ended. The truth is, we had some amazing people prior to the civil rights. We had amazing leaders prior to integration. Now, and that's just the truth, Miss A. Frazier, she just mentioned her aunt. They owned one of the oldest restaurants that was in town. And I believe your grandmother was in the commerce, with the state.
Yes. Yes.
So, and they were there way before. And I'm just saying, we have to remind ourselves that, because we just got to continue with the course. Like you said, sometimes we might get a little bit upset. Sometimes it might look like we're failing. We have to just continue with that course, because that's what our forefathers did. They continued with the course. They continued with it, and they were successful. They were successful. So I agree with you ladies, both of you ladies, and I'm really appreciative of you guys joining me. It was such a and you're always welcome back.
Yes.
Yeah, want to come back and chat with me.
Yes.
Just if you ever just get a topic and inbox me and say, hey, I got this topic, it's hot, it's on my mind, can we come back? Right?
Oh yes,
I'm always open. Our show has been going, we're on our second year now.
Awesome.
The other show I have is I'm on my second year with it too. So but this one is more mental health awareness. The other one is more of successors, because I didn't want to be like dampered all the time, like, oh, this is sad. Right. Usually, this one is a pretty sobering show, because like I said, our job here is really just to get it out that, hey, it's okay not to be okay. You're aware of your emotions, know where you stand. And that and actually my co-host, she's Hispanic, so it's not just for black, it's black and brown too.
Awesome.
Right.
Awesome.
So and the things that affect us that we don't talk about in our communities, and a lot of it we don't talk about the importance of literature in our homes. We don't talk about how social media possibly is affecting us. Like I said, our suicide rates. And by the way, women were not even, Black women were always like 1 point prior to COVID. After COVID, we've risen. And then our children certainly wasn't committing suicide.
Wow.
So that lets us know that it's certainly something somewhere
what's going on.
Yeah, that is feeding their mental health. Right. And so thank you, ladies.
Thank
you.
You're always welcome back. And I enjoyed your company.
Thank you.
Peace.
Yeah, right.
And if you want to tell our audience how to contact you too.
Go ahead, Gina.
We're on.
With me.
Always give it to me.
You're like, okay, she got it. Maybe we'll.
I'm not the one that really likes talking. I like you can reach us. We have our website, www.sassyscholarspublishing.com. We're also on Facebook, Sassy Scholars Publishing. We have our Instagram page, which is Sassy Scholars. Yeah, that's right now. That's all the areas that you can reach us.
And we have our book.
Our book is on Amazon.
Yes.
Okay. Famous American, African American, and and it is. And we're not. They said, well, we're not celebrating Black History Month, but I said, you know what? That's every day.
Yes.
Every day.
360.
That's every day.
Yes,
we can't opt out. So we're and then I have nieces who are also multicultural, and I even tell them, hey, this is an everyday deal. This is what you have. You have two wonderful sides, so it's good to embrace both, because there's nothing wrong with that. And as a fact, as you all know, possibility, we all are the same.
Yep.
That's another something that, just pitting up each other against each other because of the pigment of our skin, which, if we're American, there's no telling what combination that we are. Just being honest.
Yeah.
Just being honest. I did that DNA in me. I had Russian in me, and I've been hearing them talk about Putin. I said, well, Putin might be my cousin. I said, let me stop being mad at him. Yeah, it said a Siberian something. I was like, what is that? They was like, oh, that's Russian. What?
Siberia, yes.
Yeah. So wait a minute. And then, and then just thinking, I was like, well, that's what they call the dogs. They was like, that's because it's cold and they got I was like, well, so that's really they was like, that's a region. I said, oh wow, but that's on my DNA 23, Parisian and Irish.
Oh wow.
Right. So it's a multitude, because this is our home.
Yeah.
I don't even consider, because they always say, well, you African American, you Black American. No, I'm American. I have did the history. My history goes 300 years back in this joker. So now, no, you can't. We're not playing the games no more. Stop playing with me. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
So, just saying. Because when you know, and you feel wonderful about it. Like I said, as I did when I heard that we shall overcome. I was like, what is that? Never heard that before. Who gonna sing it? Well, ladies, that's it. Good night. Thank you for joining Taboo Chronicles podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for having us.
All right.